Good afternoon, fifth graders. Mr. Austin here, popping in for a quick math lesson with you. Today, our objective is that I can use visual models to interpret and compare expressions. So, what that means is we're going to be using pictures, we're going to be using concrete models and visual models to understand what expressions are asking us and then comparing them as well. Today, we have some key vocabulary that I'm sure you've heard before, but I just want to review them because you're going to be seeing it a lot today. Okay, so first we have sum. Sum is the answer to an addition problem. Difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. Product is the answer to a multiplication problem. And quotient is the answer to a division problem. All right, so yeah, that is the vocabulary that we are going to be seeing a lot of today, and let's go ahead and get started. So something that you're going to see on today's exit ticket is expressions written in word form. So you might see something that says, dang it, I did it again. You might see something that says 3 times the sum of 13 and 7. Okay, you might see that today. What our job today is to use a visual model to interpret what this means and then compare it to an expression. Okay, so let's just take some time right now. Teacher, let's go ahead and pause the video and talk about what do we think that this means? Can we take any of our vocabulary words and understand what this might be asking us? Okay, I hope you had a good discussion. Here's how I am going to dissect this. When I see this, I'm going to be looking for some keywords. I'm going to be looking for those vocabulary words like product, sum, difference, and quotient, because that's going to tell me what operation we're working with. Here, I see that we have the word sum. If we go back to our vocabulary, it says that sum is the answer to an addition problem. So now I need to decide, what are we adding together? Well, if I read this sentence, I'm looking for 3 times the sum of 13 and 7. So using our English skills, of sum of 13 and 7, we know that we're going to be adding 13 and 7 together. Okay, now what does this mean 3 times the sum of 13 and 7? Let's go ahead and pause here and talk about what do we think that means 3 times the sum. Okay, hearing times the sum, 3 times the sum, that tells us that we're probably going to be using multiplication, right? We call it our times tables. And times is one of those words that just tells us that we're using multiplication. So let's draw a picture and see what this might look like. Okay, if we're doing 3 times the sum of 13 and 7, okay, we can use a tape diagram. And what that means is if we have 3 times something, that means we have 3 groups of it, right? Okay, so what this expression is telling us is that we have 3 times or 3 groups of 13 and 7, or the sum of 13 and 7. Okay, here's my first group, second group, third group. Okay, now if we wanted to represent this as an expression, we could simply write it as 3 times 13 plus 7, right? Okay, But today, our goal is that we're using visual models to interpret what these expressions mean. Okay, so you'll see it in word form, 3 times the sum of 13 and 7. You also will see things in standard form or number form. You might have something that looks like this. Okay, if we wanted to show that in a tape diagram and show a visual model, what we would need to do is we would need to think about what this expression is telling us. Okay, so let's go ahead and pause the video here. Talk about, or teachers and students, let's talk about what is this expression telling us? Reading it, what is this telling us? Okay, so hopefully you had a good discussion. What I'm seeing here as I'm interpreting this and reading this is that this is telling me that I have a difference here because I am subtracting. Okay, so I have a difference of 20 and 3. Okay, so what is the difference of 20 and 3? And that I have that difference of 20 and 3 4 times. So if I wanted to write this in word form, I could write 4 times the difference, and I'm going to abbreviate difference, of 20 and 3. Okay, let's see if that makes sense. 4 times, boom, 4 times the difference of 20 and 3, the difference of 20 and 3. Okay, and let's represent that in a tape diagram. Okay, 4 times means I'm going to have 4 groups, right? Or 4 sections. 4 times the difference of 20 and 3. So I got to put the difference of 20 and 3. Okay. All right. Now let's move on to the second part of our objective that says that we are going to compare expressions. Okay. It says we're going to compare expressions. What if you today saw a question where it's asking you to compare 3 times the sum of 14 and 6 and let's say 4 times the sum of 4 and 1. Oops, that's not what I want to do. Of 13 and 2. Okay. We're going to have to compare these, and this is where our visual models are really going to help us. So let's draw out this visual model. 3 times the sum of 14 and 6 means that I'm going to have 3 groups of 14 plus 6. So if I draw that into my tape diagram, I have my 3 groups. Each one is going to be 14 plus 6. Okay. Over here, I have 4 times the sum of 13 plus 2. Okay, 4 times the sum of 13 plus 2. Well, that tells me that I'm going to have 4 groups. And inside those groups, I'm going to have 13 plus 2. Okay, now, what we can do here is then take this information and we can solve using addition, okay? So we know that 13 plus 2 is the same thing as 15, right? So really we have 15 four times, okay? And we know that 14 plus 6 equals 20, okay? Now we can use repeated addition to solve what these mean. 20 plus 20 plus 20 is equal to 60. 15 plus 15 plus 15 plus 15 is also equal to 60. So if we were to compare these two expressions, we would say that 3 times the sum of 14 and 6 is equal to 4 times the sum of 13 plus 2. Okay? All right, let's check that learning objective and see how we did. It says I can use visual models to interpret and compare expressions. Okay, I think we completed that goal in this section right here, where we used visual models to interpret our expressions and then to compare them. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe over this long weekend, and we'll see you all on Monday. Goodbye.